Hi, this is Buck, and I'm here to talk to you today about how to mount an Acro series sight to an optics-ready pistol. So you'll note that there's a plate on the back of the pistol. There's a variety available. This one's specific to the Acro. So find that specific plate for the Acro and mount it using these screws per manufacturer's specs. So while we're here, it's a good way to kind of spotlight and take a look at the way the Acro attaches to the pistol. You'll notice perpendicular and parallel lines. This is pretty impressive. So Aimpoint was the first to bring this to market. And I'm very impressed with it because it's a very, very strong mount. So at the bottom of the P2, you'll notice here is a little recoil lug, almost like a Picatinny rail, and that's pretty significant when you consider that only existed on rifles before Aimpoint brought this to market. Very, very strong. What's really neat about this is that pistols generate a tremendous amount of force on the optic itself. If you think about it, it's reciprocating, it's moving, and a .40 Smith & Wesson generates north of 7,000 foot-pounds at the end of that recoil drive. That's pretty impressive and pretty stout. This is probably the strongest way you can do it. So anyway, Aimpoint brought that to market, and it's impressive. It's neat. So anyway, the way we're going to mount this is find this outside rail and simply rock that on, and then we're just going to tighten this screw, and what that's going to do is this part is going to grab that rail and mount it very, very securely onto the pistol, and that's all it is. There's a torque spec for that that'll come with your Acro series mount, and then it's mounted. So let's talk about how to present the gun. So after you have your optic mounted and you've had a chance to zero it, you'll probably want to start shooting it. So I want to talk to you today a little bit about presenting the pistol so the dot presents itself or insinuates itself on your process as opposed to hunting for it. I see a whole lot of shooters that will get to the end of a presentation and start circling the pistol looking for the dot. Not only is that not efficient, but it really does kind of take away any benefit that this tool imparts to you as the shooter. So let's talk about some ways to avoid that. So the first rule is the first rule of shooting pistols. It's establish some infrastructure, or we like to call them fundamentals, but some infrastructure to support accurate shooting. So I'm going to stand in such a way that my toes point towards the target if I can, because my knees follow that, my hip girdle follows that, and so on and so forth. And it really, if I just kind of pin my arms out, the red dot shows up because they're equidistant from the center of my chest, and the dot just shows up. So let's talk about our grip now. So as a right-handed shooter, I'm going to have significant left error. As a left-handed shooter, I'm going to have significant right error. The reason for this is that we don't walk around like this. We just have that natural cant. Your arms are going to come inside. So we have to fix that pretty quickly if we want this to be a neutral presentation. And that's important because with a red dot sight, particularly on a pistol, we don't want to have to think about this. That's what this tool is doing for us in large part, the mechanics. So good interaction with a support side on the pistol will take away that natural error. It'll take away that natural error. So it'll push the pistol over like this. What I really want to do is to just push the pistol straight out, and I want that red dot to kind of insinuate itself on the target without me having to drive the pistol to it. If I'm driving the pistol to it, I may as well be using my iron sights. There's not really much advantage. But if I do that neutral presentation and the dot just appears on my target, then it's a very, very good tool. So remember that. Significant pressure on this support side will fix that. What if you're cross-eyed dominant? What if you have left eye dominance and you're right-handed? Well, a lot of people will rock their head down, throw it down like this, and find the dot that way. What I would suggest to you is not to give your brain the additional spatial problems of fixing this cant, but just turn your head this way. Just turn, if you're left eye dominant, turn your head this way, and that pistol is very naturally going to run down that line of dominance and present the pistol to you that way. A good test of all this is field of view. If you have a reduced field of view, significantly reduced field of view, you're probably not using this right. But if you're looking at your target or looking at your threat, your field of view should be pretty wide with a red dot insinuated on it. If that's not what you're seeing, if you're just seeing the red dot, then what's probably happening is you're probably getting to about this point right here, leaving the threat or leaving the target, coming back to the red dot and riding it the rest of the way in. And the problem with that is that you may as well be using iron sights because you are problem solving at the gun as opposed to at the target. So make sure you have a good field of view. It's a good check. It's a good test of whether you're using this to its full benefit or not. And finally, what I would tell you is to work less, work a lot less. Because if you're working just as hard as you did with iron sights, this isn't doing the job for you, or you're not doing the job for it. Which means if I present the pistol and the red dot just appears and I press the trigger, the shot breaks, and I hit exactly where I want to, this is doing a lot of the work that I used to have to do with these. So work less. So in summation, and this is pretty simple, make sure you have good infrastructure. Make sure that everything in your body that you can point at the target is pointed at the target. When you interact with a pistol with its support side, it shouldn't be completely neutral. It should be driven into the gun pretty good, because really what I want to come out with is the gun indexed to that center chest, because it repeats all of this infrastructure, and I present the gun straight out, the red dot appears, I make the decision to shoot, and shoot. That's very simple. So that's mounting and presenting a pistol with an Acro red dot sight. For more information and training tips, go to aimpoint.us.